Hey, well, welcome everyone to group tonight. My name's Pastor Travis.
And I'm Pastor Mark. And this week of At the Movies, week 3, we jumped into a movie called Garfield.
Garfield, do you like cats?
I'm not a big cat person, but I tell you what, like I remember the old Garfield where he was just a comic strip, and now we got movies about him. I'm kind of a comic strip guy. I'm a big fan.
This Garfield was this was not all about eating lasagna and laying around. It's actually a topic that probably hits home with us, and it's about rejection and even being a little bit of abandoned. Because if you know the story of Garfield, Garfield was kind of this stray cat that then found John. Well, the reason Garfield was a stray cat was at some point his dad left him. And then in the movie, dad shows back up and now he's dealing with this abandoned.
Yeah, long lost father reappears, and so this pampered life that John had given him with the lasagna and laying around, now he's getting forced into this adventure with his father, his dad that came back, but there's still the rejection in his heart, and it really gets you thinking about that rejection in our own lives.
Yeah. And so to be honest, it's it is a little bit of a little internal gut check of how do I deal with rejection? So watching this, this cartoon Garfield, there is a little bit of this, it's wow, Garfield had to deal with, a dad that left him. So, but instead of going into just deep, I don't want us to always just focus in on deep family dynamics. I think this week for your conversations in your group is just how do we deal with rejection when people come into our lives and then we sense this sense of rejection.
Yeah, because most of us, a lot of us in the room probably haven't faced maybe a father or a parent family rejection, but we do in the workplace or maybe on sports teams, when we were younger or just the different dynamic community, home, neighborhood type stuff. And so we are getting rejection from somewhere.
Yeah. And so as you know, through the message on Sunday, then we shared a story on how Jesus how to deal with rejection. And so if we can model that and watch how Jesus dealt with rejection, then you and I can deal with rejection at work or at home or sports or friendship circles, all those things.
Yeah, because in Mark 3, where the passage came out of, Jesus, he's getting rejection from all sides. He does have family rejection, but he's also facing rejection from the religious leaders and the other community members. A lot of the Jewish community at this time, they're all coming around him trying to bring him down.
So today in group, you're going to read Mark chapter 3, and you're going to see that Jesus shows up on scene, and he's in a very crowded house, and he is teaching, and he's being who he is, the Son of God, and there's miracles, and he's proclaiming all these things. And then all of a sudden, his family and those show up that are saying, Jesus, you're mad. They actually said you're mentally unstable.
Or demon possessed, even some of the religious leaders calling him demon possessed. It was a lot of accusations as he's facing, as he's trying to build people up and build a community.
Yeah, so he's trying to do the right thing, or he's doing the right thing. It's Jesus. Yet the people who are probably the closest to him and those who are the highest esteemed in that system, the priests, everyone was accusing and coming at him as if he was wrong and he was a madman and he was crazy.
Yeah, but his response is the best part of the passage.
So in the midst of feeling this rejection from both family and peers and religious leaders, let's dive into how he responded, because that's where I think you and I
that's what we're learning
can apply
here.
This and go, okay, at work or family circles, this is the way I can respond. So let's dive into it. It's amazing how he responded. Number one, I would say this is in the midst of all that, he didn't retreat. So a lot of times when we feel rejected, we isolate ourselves, we get out of there, we don't want to be around people. Mm-hmm. And so we remove ourselves. So he didn't remove himself and he didn't retreat. And we know he actively was still actually discipling and making this a teachable moment. And so he didn't retreat.
Yeah, and that's a good lesson for us. Is we're usually common at that when we feel like the world's coming against us. Well, and we just go isolate ourselves. But when we're facing that rejection, it's actually about building community, surrounding ourselves with people who can support you, like the small group you're in right now.
I think that's a common thing we keep hearing is we have to do life together even during the difficult times. Yeah. So if you're dealing with a little bit of abandonment or rejection, like this is not a time to go figure it out all by yourself. Like
No, yeah, you need community.
have these
Yeah.
conversations. So today, again, we've been sharing this. Be open and honest. Like this circle that you're in, you can have some conversations about, hey, I can't retreat here. I need you guys, and I'm thankful that all you guys are in the room together because you need each other. So he didn't retreat. And then the second thing, which probably is harder for me, is he didn't retaliate.
I'm right there with you. I did some time in the service. I'm a Marine back when went out of high school, and so that's me. Like I'm a fighter, I'm that guy. I get a little fiery, especially when people come against me. And it's so hard that Jesus shows us though, no matter how harsh the rejection is, we can't retaliate.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, come at me, bro.
Yeah,
I'm not a physical fighter, but man, can I come up with like the diatribe of what to say?
Yeah.
And I have this defense in my head, and I could come at him and retaliate. And so you don't see Jesus retaliating. In fact, he responds in love.
Yeah.
He loves all the people in the room and everything.
That's a tough one. Our first instinct's always going to be that lashing out, that trying to protect ourselves. Maybe it's our family, our kids, if they're feeling the retaliation, But Jesus shows us that love's the way to go. No retaliation, no hard feelings, just an invitation to something greater.
Yeah, and actually that's how he takes the whole conversation. So instead of retaliating and instead of, getting out of there and leaving, he actually opens up this invitation and says, I want you guys to be with me. And so one of the best parts of the story is he extends this open arm welcome. And I know we shared, and you heard this in the message, is like a lot of times when you feel like you're treated like a doormat, Jesus actually throws out the welcome mat.
No, I love that. I do love that.
Hey, come on into the journey, come on into this relationship, come on into this community. And if you know that, and when you read the passage, it's actually when they're like, hey, your mom is really wanting you out of this environment. And he goes, well, who is my mother? Who is my brother? And what he's saying is, all of you who do the will of God, like we're in this together. You're with me. He wasn't rejecting his mom or his brothers, but he was extending an open invitation of, hey, come be a part of this.
Yeah, he wasn't like denying that was his mother, his brother. He wasn't trying to redefine that, but he was kind of redefining what that family picture looks like when you're in the family of God, when you get that adoption in. And that's a game changer for us. Jesus, he flips the script again, and instead of letting rejection tear us down, he shows us that we can invite others into our journey, into our life, and that welcome mat. We roll out that welcome mat, and even when we've been hurt.
And he widens the circle of what does it really mean to have family in your life. And he's like, we can be family. Like it doesn't just have to be a blood parent, a blood cousin, a blood it's like, no, we are church family.
Correct. Yeah.
Anchored in Christ. And so that's a great passage where he says we are family.
Yep.
We are family. Don't feel rejected because you have all of us.
Yeah. And Heather and I, we've really felt that at our time here at the Fields Church. It's one of the things I love about the Fields is through small groups, through serving, through connections. Like we don't have a lot of family in this area, and the Fields Church, though, that is our family. And so when holidays roll around, when we've had tough times, when anything's happened in our lives, even friends showing up for sports games, we still have that church family that rallies around us all of these years, and that's what I really love about the Fields.
I'm thankful for that, and I hear that story over and over for people who've moved into the area that don't have family in the area. So anyway. Okay, this is what you need to do today in your group is have these conversations of, so if I'm dealing with rejection or abandonment, what's it look like to really not retreat? Like what's the what can be the real damage of retreating, and how do you make sure you don't retreat? The second thing is, how do you make sure you don't retaliate? Like how can you guard your heart? Mm-hmm. How can you make sure that we're not in a retaliation mindset, but we're in a loving mindset? And so when someone hurts you, resist the urge to retaliate. And then lastly, like have this conversation, what's it look like to just throw out the welcome mat and invite more people in? Because you have friends and family that probably have felt rejected in other areas of their life. They're needing a community that you have right now. The room that you're in right now, people are longing for things like this.
Yeah. Which goes to the verse that we talked about on Sunday out of John 1. And it says, even when Jesus was rejected by his own people, he gave everyone who believed in him that right to become children of God, which makes us then that family. And that's a powerful reminder that our identity, it comes from Christ. even when others reject us. And maybe you're in a small group right now, and maybe you didn't hear this message. Maybe you weren't with us on Sunday, and you're hearing some of this for the first time. You're going to read these passages. Remember, John 1, Jesus is inviting you into this family of God. And that's where we really get that community.
That's great. So enjoy your conversation today. Just remember, the next time you face rejection, let's respond the way Jesus has responded, not the way we want to respond. And talk that out. Have those conversations in your group. Remember, open, honest conversations are the healthiest way for you guys to see some great life transformation. We want that. And so, yeah, enjoy the conversation.
Yep. Small group leaders, we were kicking it back to you guys. Have a great session.